Welcome
to
the
podcast.
We're
Here
coming
at
out of the dryer.
I was wondering how long we were going to go off track on that.
Come on, man.
Yep. You had one way to go. I was going a different way. And
Where were you going?
I don't know. I figured it was the way I was thinking was we're coming at you live, but we're not live. Yeah, and you were thinking we're coming out of the dryer.
We're out of the dryer,
right?
Because it's the Lent podcast.
Exactly, yes. Regardless.
We should have had a conversation before, so we planned it.
It's much better when we don't.
I'm Kurt.
And I'm not. I'm Jake.
And we are out of the dryer.
Like we just discussed.
Yeah.
Yes. So here we are.
Ready for another podcast.
Yes. This is Lent week 5.
So we are at the tail end here.
Yes.
Heading toward Holy Week.
Correct. Yeah. So we've got this week and then next week is Holy Week.
Right.
So we're reaching the end. So we can probably do this on the wrap up at the end, but let us know in the comments how this Lent season has gone for you.
Yeah.
It's always good to learn that kind of stuff. So today,
right,
like we said, getting closer to the end. What are we talking about on Sunday?
So the week we're recording this, we're here live. We're real people. We are not AI generated.
What?
Anyway, the week we're doing this coming Sunday is the 8th, and I'm going to be preaching on catharsis. And then the 15th, I'm going to be preaching on photosis. And this week, we're talking about theosis, or the via unitiva, being one with God.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be in Matthew chapter 17, verse 1 through 8. It says, 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and James and his brother John and led them up a high mountain by themselves, and was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became bright as light. Suddenly there appeared to them Moses and Elijah talking with him. Then Peter said to Jesus, Lord, it's good for us to be here. If you wish, I'll set up 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah. While he was still speaking, suddenly a bright cloud overshadowed them, and a voice from the cloud said, This is my son, the beloved. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him. When the disciples heard this, they fell to the ground, overcome by fear. But Jesus came, touched them, and said, Get up, don't be afraid. And they raised their eyes. They saw no one except Jesus alone. So, in this passage doesn't seem to say a lot about unity, but in that passage are symbols of all 3 parts of the Godhead, the Trinity, present together at once. It happens a few other times in the scriptures, but it's a very dense with meaning passage. And so the Shekinah glory of God, which is sort of reflective of the Holy Spirit and the voice of the Father and the Son, all there as one. And here are these 3 disciples being witnesses to it, invited into the relationship with God to reflect that glory. It's a profound moment. So that's the passage. We're gonna some things we're not gonna talk about Sunday. There's a book I read called Recapture the Rapture. It is about how rapture theology has been hijacked by tech bros and other idiots, and has been misused and abused. But there are also some innovations that have been utilized to get shortcuts. So like mushrooms, the like psychedelics, being utilized. There's a lot of not a lot, because we can't keep funding to, but there's been research to help people with traumatic experience process the trauma utilizing psilocybin and other psychedelics. And somebody was like, I wonder what would happen if you use some of these to help mystics connect with the divine.
Mhm.
And lo and behold, it is a shortcut to get there. However, and this is the big caveat, without all of the work that went in, because people would all have this ecstatic experience, but the ones who had actually put the long work in of the catharsis and the purgativa and the photosis, the experience they had sustained over a longer period of time and was more formative than those who skipped the whole line and just came for the experience.
Right. It seems like it's like a one-off experience kind of thing. It's like the get rich quick schemes, that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
You don't want to. I would like to say people want to put in the hard work, but they don't, and so they're trying to figure out ways to get around that. And okay, how can I have the same outcome, the same experience, but not put in all the effort to do it?
Right.
And I think with anything, if you put your heart and soul and belief into things, you get more out of the experience, and that goes right in line with that.
Right. Yeah. So I probably won't be covering a lot with that, but there are several places in the scripture where Jesus and later Paul, reflecting on Jesus, talk about unity and being one. And here is one of these places where the disciples are invited into the unity of God. And in the podcast where we introduce sort of this idea of the spiritual disciplines and this idea, we move from I'm here and God's way over there, I him, I her, to I you, and I am talking with you, or in Martin Buber's words, I thou. And then it's us together. Where I'm wondering how many people have experienced those thin space divine moments where you are caught up into God, and whether it's during singing or during prayer, when you experience just God filling you, surrounding you, embracing you, so that you know that God is in you. I don't know how many people have had that.
Yeah.
I would love to hear the stories. But for me, the first time I experienced it was singing. And just the joy of the experience, and my choir group as we were singing and praying. And I remember another time in prayer, I just experienced being held by God, and that feeling of a child being held to their parents, in that safety of that embrace, right?
Right.
So, how would you think of this as a?
I mean, I feel like it's with the I, thou, and like what you were just talking about, right? The 3 stages. So I think of that. I think that's easier to get a grasp on, right? So so Camilla's on the dance team, right? And so we do all these things with these different families and stuff. And like at the beginning of the season, it's like, hey, I know those people over there, right? I know we have this connection, but they're over there.
They're
right? Them, we're us, right? And then the more you go on, it's like, okay, there's me, there's you, right? And we converse, we talk, all this kind of stuff, but then we become the we later on, right? And I think it's like that with whenever you're meeting new people or coworkers or things like that. It's for lack of a better term, it can be awkward at first, right?
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
it's awkward, and you're just trying to feel out that relationship. And I feel like even with God, sometimes we feel out our relationship with God too.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, where am I right now in this time? What's my mindset? What's going on in my life? And God's there, but is he like over there, or are we like talking, or like we won, you know? And I wonder how we can get past the roadblocks and the things that are like clouding our judgment, because God's always with us. Right?
Yeah.
But what are those barriers that hold me back to always experience that us with God?
I don't know that we can always experience it, because there are barriers.
Right.
And I don't want to raise the expectation. I mean, even Mother Teresa.
Yeah, right.
Dark night of the soul all the time.
Yeah. So
she felt like she was estranged from God.
Yeah. Right. And so I'm wondering how can we, I'm thinking two things. One of them is it's not going to be like us with God all the time, right? We just said that, right? But I feel like that's what we ideally want to strive for.
I believe that is the goal.
Right.
Is that unity with God.
So what are ways that hold me back from achieving that, right?
Right.
And then the other piece, I had a thought and I lost it. Poof. Yeah. I wanted to say something like, the other piece is, you know, when we're in those dark night of the soul, those times when it feels like God is distant, or it feels like God is over there, right?
Gone.
Yeah. Realizing that God is still with us, even though he's over there, right? Mother Teresa, right, did all this amazing work.
Yeah.
I can still do amazing work in God's name when I don't feel super close to him, right? And so people from the outside, if I'm in the dark night of the soul and I'm still doing things that I know glorify God, even though he's distant, for someone else looking in at me, how would they categorize that? Would they say God and them are together? Right?
Yeah.
Because I think from an outsider's perspective, you can't really tell what somebody's going through all the time. And so even though I feel like I'm in the dark night of the soul, someone else can be like, nope, they're best buddies right now, you know?
Right.
So I think that the perspective is can make a huge difference. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I just and again, so much is in the eye of the beholder, right?
Right. And I think, how many times are we hard on ourselves, or our judgment is clouded because of other things going on, that we don't accurately get to see us for who we are.
Right.
See us the way that God sees us.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all go through hard times and things, but like, I'm still God's favorite.
Well, no, I'm God's favorite. Yeah.
So yeah, I just think the barriers, the thoughts that we have, the I'm not good enough, that kind of I feel like is always kind of like somewhere in our being, and we just kind of have to like squash it, but I feel like it can never fully get squashed, unfortunately.
Right. Well, but I think it's part of what brings us back more and more to the need for.
Right. Yeah.
It awakens us to the hunger.
And
that's not a bad thing.
Right.
So one of the things, if you look at the mystical traditions and the women's Bible study, I used a mystic book by Richard Rohr. It was a challenge. And some of them really struggled with falling upward. Some loved it, more struggled than loved it. But one of the things that Richard Rohr does with his work is he invites mystics from all different traditions. And it's interesting talking with Sufi Muslims and Kabbalic people in Kabbalah Judaism and people in the mystic aspects of Christianity, and sitting together and listening to one another in the experience, as well as even with Buddhist monks and with people from Hindu traditions who are Shama, and just sitting together and listening.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much division right now in our world. And right now, as we're recording this, we're 3 days into our next war.
Yeah.
And, or 2 days. I don't remember whether it started Saturday or Sunday.
I don't know.
Saturday.
I want to say this is day 2, I think.
Excuse me. So, but, with all of these, people tie it back to religious difference.
Yeah.
But when you get to the major practitioners of the faith, not the political leaders, not the religious leaders, but those who are deeply practicing the faith, their conversation begins to look very similar across those realms.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would hope that we might start to emphasize that practicing of faith and find those common ground places where we can build some peace.
Yeah. And the world doesn't want to say it, but we have so much more alike than what we do difference-wise, right?
Yeah.
We might think about getting to the end point differently.
Yeah.
But we all usually can agree that some things are the same, right? Mm-hmm. But so much of it is you're wrong, I'm right, and just the division and everything. It is ridiculous. I mean, it shouldn't be that way, but the people who are pulling all the strings on everything,
right?
They want division, right? And it's disheartening. Mm-hmm. It's sad, and it's why can't we work together? Like it's frustrating.
I am very much of the ilk of, if you want to start a war, you get to go be on the front line.
Yeah,
I think I've said that for 30 years now.
Yeah.
So some ways to unity, the mode of spirituality is that theosis, or via unitiva. The form, I should say, the forum of internal, inward focused. Some of the ideas I had included sacred music, meditation, whether single word, the cloud of unknowing, breath prayer, doing laments, personal psalms. And I wrote down everydayness. And what I mean by that is everydayness is the how do we look at the things that we're doing, like a conversation with a 5th grader, a putting together a lunch, folding the clothes. When the breath and the sweat of the moments of every day become spiritual communion, that's unity with God. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I would phrase it is finding the amazing in the mundane.
Yeah. No, same.
Yeah.
Same track.
Right. And I feel like that's hard because so many times I'm caught up, and I'm sure everybody else is too, of like, gotta get this, right? And it's a whirlwind so often. And to slow down and to figure out what's amazing in the moment, right? We're always looking forward to the next thing or looking back on what we could have did differently and all this kind of stuff. But just being present, I think is an amazing thing. But it's so hard to do.
It is, because it's more efficient, and our culture thrives on efficiency.
Right.
And we are having a holy waste of time.
Yes.
Love that.
Yes.
When I look at the outward expression of this, that outward form, the via contemplativa is the sacred music, the meditation, the via I can't remember. Anyway, the outward expression, things like a community garden, demonstrating for peace together. This is the forgiveness and absolution, prayer walking, or embodied walking, or embodied prayer, I should say. And then submission is one of those outward, letting somebody else's will happen. It's one of those ways of relinquishing something, of relinquishing so you can receive that oneness,
right,
with them and with God in the midst of us. And then for the community of faith, that usward journey, baptism and remembering your baptism, communion, revival, singing, a prayer concert, which is a whole nother thing, worship as a whole, theater church, all of those, I think, are ways of finding the unitiva with God. So those are some things that I'm looking forward to exploring a little bit more. Right. If you had to pick out a way of doing theosis that was just for you, what would it be? That's that bottom line.
I think what would be easiest for me would be something music-wise. I think that's the one that a lot of people would go to, because it is something that naturally pulls our heartstrings and things like that. But it's not just being moved by the music. It's finding God in the music, and it's finding how do I interact with God through the music as well. And so I think that is one that just kind of naturally I'm inclined to. So sacred music, what I would say is not like, I wouldn't put this as like the contemporary music in second service. I wouldn't even put it as hymns in my head, even though it very well could be for people. The way I would put it is like more meditative, like ambiance kind of things with something else going on, like, I don't know, Lord's Prayer or something, like there's some sort of grounding to it. That's the way I think of it. And so, like,
that's beautiful.
We've done
that was great. That was awesome.
So we've done the Shema prayer a couple times with the band.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect song.
And exactly, and that's one that where it's the first time we did it, even in practice, like I'm getting goosebumps talking about, but like it just like kind of took me, and it like took me to this other space.
Right.
And I'm like, that's exactly what it is.
Listen, this is what I'm talking about.
So I'm gonna find the link to that. I'm gonna put it in. So be sure to watch it. But that's definitely one that I for sure connect with. I think one, like I mentioned, that would be hard for me is the everydayness, because it's so busy all the time. Right. And I feel like there are times when I slow down. I try to slow down, and I think of something to help somebody else, or to just do something a little bit extra in the moment. And that kind of goes into the everydayness part of it.
That everydayness one is something that I focused a lot on over my sabbatical. And so I've tried to continue that. And sometimes I do better than others.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but I think it is this level of connecting with God is, I don't know, and I'm not God, so I can't tell you how many people experience this and how many don't. I don't know that everybody does.
Right.
Because we often don't do the groundwork of the clearing of the space and soaking in the light, so that we know that when we have been transformed, we don't just go, "Oh, that was a great experience." It's the disciples saying, "We're not our hearts burning within us," while he opened the word to us upon the road, in the road to Emmaus.
Yeah.
After Jesus breaks the bread, and they're like, "Oh, it was you! Dang it! Now he's gone!" And,
Yeah.
and it's this, it's that moment of wonder and awe, and when you've soaked in the presence and the light, and the beauty of that light of God, because you've cleared away the junk and made room for the Spirit to move, and then you get the depth of that transformative experience.
Yeah.
I remember hearing the Shema sung by a Jewish group. It was all men, because it was a more traditional group where the women were segregated.
Yeah.
But hearing these deep bass voices, Shema Israel, I mean, just canting it together. And it was just it rumbled, and it's profound.
Yeah.
And I can still feel the resonance of those voices in my bones. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
So if you could do one, I'm going to skip the middle column, but
that's what I was just about to say. I feel like the middle column is hard.
The middle column requires working together with groups of people.
So this is the outward portion of it. Yeah.
And the communal one.
Yeah.
These last two are all focused on being one with each other, and one with each other in purpose. So one with God to stand for peace. I remember the first time I demonstrated. It was actually in high school, and where the high school I went to, there was some issues of racism. My senior year, it got to a place where I felt like I was in a position where I needed to say something, and several of us, we planned to sit in, which our principal found out about, and since he was part of the problem, he made sure that did not happen. And then he also, and I did not know enough about organizing to just go, we're doing it anyway. I didn't know how to do that. So we published an underground paper and about why racism is wrong. And if you look up Center Grove High School in Greenwood, Indiana, racist incidents, you will find they have had problems ever since. And we told them then in 1990, you need to get your act together, because this is not helpful. My parents taught with people in Indianapolis public schools who were from all different backgrounds, and Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Indian. I mean, just everywhere. And these were beautiful people who were amazing gifts to the kids they worked with and to our community. And to think that somebody would think it was okay to denigrate them because of their race just made my blood boil. And I was like, no, this isn't acceptable, because you're not talking about someone, you're talking about Charles.
Yeah.
and you are participating in evil. I have better language for it now. Then I just said they were something.
Yeah.
So, but I remember working together with this group of people and feeling the presence of the holiness of God, even though half of them weren't Christians, and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because God was there, because we were working together to honor the dignity of God's children. And it was palpable. You could feel it. And I remember one of my friends, she was about as agnostic as you could get. And she was like, I don't know what I'm feeling. This is amazing. And I was like, in my opinion, it's God is here.
Yeah.
You know,
that's cool.
I don't know what she did with that.
Yeah.
But with the ones that are community based, what is the one that you think is the best way to get people to connect together to that experience of the Spirit among us and the just soaking and resting in the presence of God?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's usually comes down to not necessarily singing, but the music aspect of it. To me, worship. Like most of our church connects through worship, right? And that's where most people find their God fix for the week, right? Through that worship, that Sunday morning time. And people experience it differently, but like for me, and I know the times being in the back in the booth, like when there's a song being played and like people are singing out loud, loudly, like I can hear it over the band, and it's like those moments where it just seems like we are all doing something that's bigger than us right now.
Yeah.
Right.
But interestingly, so under the communal practice, the us word practice for purgativa, for the catharsis, Sunday for communion, the prayer that we did, the invitation, doing that, I had several people after service who said that was really moving. And I was like, and that, you know, a couple people said they were in tears, and that it was profound for them to just pause and do it that way. I shared it with the clergy group here in Lafayette and with my covenant group, and I heard back from two of them. Thank you. Used it. One of them said he cited me. Thank you, Ben. I won't name the one who didn't say that. But so that's Unitiva. And I think really I think that's the extent of the teaching on it. And so the sermon, I mean, like, as I was listening to this week's podcast, and at the end, I'm like, can we just play this for the sermon? But I find in the moment the experience of the congregation shifts the sermon to be what the congregation needs. And so there will be something different. But I don't know if you're wanting to go deeper into this, the only way to go deeper into it is to practice. That's it.
Right.
And so I'm working on how do we do a spiritual disciplines worship service every week. I'm working on that. I'll let you know when I get the plan.
And I think the important part is being deliberate about it and being intentional about it, so that you know I am going to cut out this amount of time from my schedule,
right? So
I can dive into this, and that's going to be my sole focus,
right?
Which is, it's hard to do, but it's important.
And my soul focus.
Yes. So
on that note,
we're going to be done for this week.
Yep.
And we will catch you Sunday.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Like I said at the beginning, share with us how this experience has been going for you, how your Lent season has been going.
How has Lent gone? Have you practiced any cathartic experience or phototic experience, or this theotic experience of trying to encounter God.
And I would say, if you haven't intentionally, can you look back and think, yeah, God was present in this?
Yeah.
Because I think that's important too. I think the more you say at the beginning of your meetings every time, like, where have you seen God at work? Right? The more you talk about where God is at work, the more you see him show up.
Definitely.
Even though he's there all the time.
Yeah, that's everydayness.
Yes. Sly way to practice.
Oh my gosh. And I just let that cat out of the bag.
So with that, we're going to be done.
And all my secrets out.
Yep. We will.
Before I share the nuclear codes,
we're out. See ya.